The town of Dry Creek had seen many cruel things, but that afternoon, something different echoed through its dusty streets. A woman stood at the edge of the boardwalk, her head bowed, her bonnet hiding the shame she carried like a second skin. In her arms clung two little girls, no older than 6 and 4, their dresses patched, their eyes wide with hunger and fear. Her name was Eliza. She had come west as a bride, young and filled with hope, believing the promise of land and family would give her life purpose. But her husband, a man hardened by pride and poisoned by cruelty, had turned on her. He wanted sons, strong boys to bear his name, to work the land, to carry on his legacy. But Eliza had given him daughters, too fragile, precious girls who laughed with the joy of the innocent. For that, she had been beaten, shunned, and finally cast out. The whispers in town carried quickly. Some pitied her, but most turned away. "She's cursed," one man muttered at the saloon. "Can't give a man what he needs," another spat, shaking his head. Eliza kept her eyes on the ground, clutching her daughters tighter, trying to hush their whimpers. Her body ached from the blows, but worse than pain was the gnawing fear that she could no longer protect them. She had tried to beg for bread at the mercantile. The shopkeeper gave her a look of pity but turned her away. Others sneered. "Maybe someone will take the girls off her hands," one woman said cruelly. "Two mouths she can't feed." The words stabbed deeper than any whip. As the afternoon sun dipped low, Eliza sank to her knees on the boardwalk, her daughters pressed against her. Her whispered prayers were carried away on the wind. She had nothing left to give, no strength left to fight. From down the street came the steady sound of boots striking dust. Slow, certain. Jacob Morgan, a rancher known in the county, was a man people called quiet, maybe even cold. His life had been marked by loss. His wife had died young, leaving him with no children. Since then, he had thrown himself into work, building fences, taming horses, watching the seasons roll by in silence. He had grown used to the loneliness, or so he told himself. But as he neared the mercantile, his eyes caught the sight of a woman on her knees, and 2 children clinging to her like roots to dry soil. Something inside him stirred, an ache he hadn't felt in years. He stopped in front of her, his shadow falling across her small, broken figure. Eliza dared to look up. Her eyes were red-rimmed, her cheeks streaked with dust and tears. She flinched, instinct telling her that men meant harm. But Jacob's voice was low, steady, carrying no judgment. "Ma'am, do you need help?" Her lips trembled. She opened them, then closed them again. She had asked for help before and been turned away, mocked, scorned. She shook her head, whispering, "We don't need pity." The youngest girl, with hair like spun gold tangled in the wind, peered up at him. "Mister," she whispered, her voice small but clear. "Mama's tired. We're hungry." Something broke open in Jacob's chest. He crouched down, meeting the little girl's eyes. "I reckon you are," he said softly. "And that's not right." The older girl clung tighter to her mother. "They say we're no good," she murmured, her voice trembling. Jacob's gaze flicked to Eliza, who turned her face away, unable to bear the shame. He stood slowly, his presence towering but calm. "Who said that?" Eliza shook her head quickly. "It doesn't matter, please. Just let us be." Jacob's jaw tightened. He had heard enough. He held out his hand. "Come with me, you and the girls. My ranch has room. More than enough." Eliza blinked, stunned. "Why would you—" "You don't even know us." Jacob's eyes softened, though his voice carried quiet strength. "Don't need to. I see enough. You're a mother who loves her children. And I'll tell you this." His gaze swept over the little girls, who stared up at him wide-eyed. "If no one else will raise them proud, I will." Silence fell heavy. The bystanders on the street, who had been watching with mocking eyes, shifted uncomfortably. A few muttered under their breath. But Jacob didn't care. Eliza's lips parted, trembling as fresh tears rolled down her cheeks. She pressed her daughters closer, as though afraid the promise might be snatched away. "Please," Jacob said again, softer now. "Let me help you." The girls looked at their mother, waiting, hoping. And slowly, with shaking hands, Eliza placed her hand in his. His palm was rough, calloused, but steady, a strength she could lean on. That evening, for the first time in weeks, they sat at a table with food before them. Eliza wept silently as she watched her daughters eat, their little hands clutching spoons, their eyes bright with joy. Jacob said little, but when the girls finished, he showed them where they would sleep. 2 small beds, quilts folded neat. At night, as the girls drifted into dreams, Eliza stood in the doorway watching them. Jacob came to her side. For a moment she feared his hand would fall heavy, like the one she had known before, but instead he simply nodded toward the girls. "They'll be safe here," he said quietly. Her throat tightened. "You don't know what this means." Jacob's eyes lingered on her, soft but certain. "I know enough." The days turned into weeks. Eliza found herself cooking again, mending clothes, tending a garden with her daughters beside her. The bruises faded, replaced by laughter that rang out across the ranch. The girls followed Jacob as he worked, their giggles chasing him through the fields. And though he remained quiet, something in his eyes changed, like a man learning to breathe again. One evening, as the sun set in fiery gold, Eliza stood on the porch, her daughters playing in the yard. Jacob joined her, his hat in his hand. "You've given them back their smiles," she whispered. He shook his head. "No, they gave me mine." The wind carried their laughter, and for the first time Eliza allowed herself to believe they weren't broken. They were whole, and they had found a man who would raise them proud.